I'm not going to be controlled out of manipulation. I'm not going to be controlled out of hate and discontent because you're throwing a temper tantrum. I'm not going to. I don't choose that anymore. I choose a respectful, loving, peaceful journey. Hi, my name is Kelly Bowker. And when I sit down here to do these chats, I feel like I'm sitting down with a friend, just exchanging ideas and exploring my thoughts and my knowings and my beliefs. It's really quite extraordinary. It's something that I would never have dreamed would have developed, but it is how it feels. I was thinking about the concept the other day. I was chatting in with an actual person. I guess you guys are actual people. You know what I mean? I was chatting on the phone with a friend, and he said that control is generated by fear. And when he said those words, I felt like I got hit. It was like I got boom, I just got hit with energy. And I even stopped and wrote it down. And I knew that the guides wanted me to talk about it. I haven't done much thinking about it. I never do. I just, when I have this kind of a topic, I just kind of connect to the energy and just let it flow. And that's what I'm going to do. So the topic for this discussion, at least out of the gate, is around fear and around control, which really boils down to surrender. We don't surrender out of our need for control, which is driven by fear. And doesn't that all make sense? So I have been having the intention very consciously recently to live a spirit-led life. That means to be deliberate, to be mindful, to, as often as I can remember throughout the day, to bring the guides into all of my doings, my personal stuff, my housekeeping, my trips to this, trying to live that kind of a life through that lens, the lens of being spirit-led. And following the nudges, like this morning, puttering with my hubby and then being like, you know what, this is a good chance. He's got something to do. This is a good chance for me to have some time where I can do a recording for my YouTube channel. And just getting that nudge, puttering around, just getting that nudge and following the nudge. We call it following the breadcrumbs, and that's what it is. So let's talk about control. That word came up in the conversation when I was sharing with my friend that Mike and I had had a little kind of tete-a-tete, a little set to this week, when I started to talk to him about something to do with the business side of what I'm doing. And, there are some of those aspects, even though I keep stomping my feet and saying that it's not a business, it's my journey. And that is true. But that said, there are some logistics that have to be done. And so I was just sharing with him some of it, and he went right down to a tangent around, I thought you were going to retire. I thought that this was going to be our time for you and I, blah, 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 which really triggered me. So was he doing? He was trying to control me. What did that trigger in me? Push back. I don't want to be controlled. I don't want to be told what to do. Has nothing to do with it being spiritual. We could be talking about me going and playing bingo on Monday nights. I don't want to be told what to do. I'm a grown ass woman and I'm going to make my own decisions and do what I choose to do. And that's kind of new in my life, honestly. It's, I laughingly refer to myself as Kelly 2.0. And I do feel like that. I do feel like I have been reborn. I feel like I have been born anew, that I got to a place in my life where I was not happy. I wasn't happy with how the world was around me. I wasn't happy in my response to the world. I didn't like my thoughts. I didn't like my vibration. I was unhappy. And that was what started this journey of awakening, which then resulted in me becoming a channel, which was quite extraordinary. But a big piece of me hitting bottom, or what I consider my own bottom, a big piece of that was feeling like I've been controlled my whole life, that I was controlled by my dad. I then went to come into Michael's home. I've never lived alone. I was a kid when we got married. I was a week shy of turning 19. Michael was just barely had turned 21. We were just kids. We didn't have children for 5 or 6 years and after we got married, which was a lovely thing. Gave us time to grow up a little bit, which I'm very happy about. But we were still pretty damn, you know, kids. And we set patterns at that time in my life. I believed the Baptist fundamental beliefs of the husband being the lead, the head of the household, that I was supposed to capitulate to his decisions. And we set up this pattern in our life. And then as I began to challenge the dogma of religion and realized it wasn't my truth, um, some of these things were pretty ingrained in our marriage and pretty ingrained in who I was. And I'm not saying that it was anything bad. I've had a very happy life with Michael. 99% of it has been a very happy life, as I've shared before. But there's been the things. And feeling like I didn't know who I was, feeling like I didn't know who I was. What do I like to do? What do I enjoy? Yes, Mike and I snow sled, and I love snow sledding. But we snow sled because Michael loves snow sledding. We do the party boat. We both love it. And I mean, that's the truth. We do. I love it too. But we didn't at that time, I didn't have things that Kelly did that wasn't driven by Michael. I went to work, occasionally would get away for a lunch or a date with a girlfriend. But for the most part, my life was doing life through, with Michael. And it was fine until it wasn't. And I think that there is a lot of this kind of energy right now in our world, a lot of energy of feeling discontented with the status quo. And I can tell you from what I've learned now on this journey that that is because our higher self is calling us to a greater experience of who we are. Our higher self is drawing us forward and giving us experiences like feelings of a little discontented, feelings of upset, feelings of out of balance. Disconnected is a great word. That would be one of the things that I felt very strongly when I was in that turbulent time prior to becoming a channel. So I do think that this is one of the ways we know that people have near-death experiences. We know they have tremendous traumas, the death of a child, a horrific illness, these kinds of things that can kick a person's psyche and begin them on the road to enlightenment, the road to becoming who they're really supposed. No, suppose they just nudged me, who they are being called to, who they are being invited to be, the fuller, magnificent expression of who you are, who I am, the all of who I am, the all of who you are. And it's such a beautiful, such a wonderful place to be. And there are lots of ways to get nudged onto that road. And so I think that when we begin to feel ourselves pushing back against control, one of the things that we can realize in that I've tried to learn with Michael is that concept around fear. Michael is doing really well supporting me on this journey, but occasionally his fear takes over. His fear of, I'm not going to need him anymore. I'm not going to love him anymore. I'm not going to want to continue the life with him that we've had. That's a fear. It's a legitimate fear as someone undergoes such amazing change as what I've undergone in this last 3 years. Not quite three, but almost. And it's an amazing journey from my perspective, but it's a pretty scary one from his to see all of the change. And with all of these changes, will I still love Michael? And the answer to that is yes. because I choose to and I intend to. I find the things to love every day. And I've shared that before with you guys. It is a decision. It is a decision to not take note of all the things that are a pain in your butt, to just turn away from those. I mean, there's nothing wrong with living that way, but we also have to find our place with where are our lines in the sand. And so I'm learning with Michael when this pattern of behavior comes up. One of the things that's hard for me is I'm not used to nor comfortable with Michael being out of whack. We have lived a very, very close relationship our whole lives. And if he is upset, I'm upset. And this is part of my finding my own autonomy, that I have to allow Michael or anyone else, my kids, my friends, to have their upset around things. And it's not my responsibility. If I'm not giving enough attention to somebody, it's not wrong for someone that you love to say, I'm feeling a little left out. That's a conversation. We can have that conversation. And there can be compromises in life. I'm an absolute proponent of compromise. And any good, strong, loving relationship in your life is going to require some compromise. And so I'm all for that. But I'm not going to be controlled out of manipulation. I'm not going to be controlled out of hate and discontent because you're throwing a temper tantrum. I'm not going to. I don't choose that anymore. I choose a respectful, loving, peaceful journey. So I do think that as we move forward, and as perhaps you're feeling some of this feeling of being controlled, and it's up to you, it's up to all of us to ask ourselves, how much of this is the inner voice of our higher self calling us forward to our greatness, you know, and finding our path with that, with the relationships that are within our life or without them. Sometimes that may be the case. But I think I have been a big enough proponent of, we don't look to the people in our lives to make us happy. We don't look to the people in our lives to help us feel better. We control our own isness. We have the ability to give ourselves what we need to feel that connected feeling, to feel that love, to be okay in my own skin. So that said, then you decide, you know, are there aspects of your life that is so enhanced by the relationship that you're discussing, regardless of what the relationship is? Is there enough good to outweigh any of the stuff that you have to overlook? And how are you doing it overlooking it? You know, that's a good thing to think about. You know, when we talk about the word control, I just dropped into my heart and just said the control, and I can see it on the book that I wrote. I wrote control and then the yield sign to fear. And a person could say fear, yield sign to control. So what are some of those other areas? I think we kind of put control because of fear from our own self onto our own self. I'm thinking about things like the need to have an agenda. You know, they have moved me forward doing this work with all of you, sitting down to something like this without really very much of an idea at all of what I'm going to talk about. I don't have an agenda. I don't have notes. 90% of the time, I don't have even a thing written down or an idea in my head. And that's been hard for me. I'm a school teacher. I taught and a nurse. You want to talk about two professions that require organization? You're taking two that really, structure is very important. So, as I'm now learning to live my life without structure, it takes surrender because there's that part of me that when I'm controlling what's happening, I'm making sure that I have my this and my that, my chair, my whatever it is, whatever situation that I'm going into, the old Kelly needed to control it. I needed to make sure I had everything I needed. I needed to make sure I was with people that I enjoyed. I mean, I was controlling every aspect of it. And I drove myself friggin' crazy and my family, like trying to get a family dinner together and just be nuts with trying to control every detail of it. Oh my God, it was terrible. And it was terrible on me. It was terrible on me. I didn't enjoy it either. And so surrendering to your faith, surrendering to the trust that everything in life is working out for your highest good means at the start of a day, you may say to yourself, it's been a while since the kids have been over for supper. I'd love to have a family gathering. It's my intention to orchestrate a family gathering with ease and flow, and it will be great for everybody, and it will be easy for everybody, and it's going to be just glorious and wonderful. And then go about your day and watch for the breadcrumbs. Oh, one of the kids call, gives you the opportunity to say, what's your schedule over the next week or two like? Is there a day that we could get together? You know, it will unfold when you set your intention and you have that agreement in your heart, like I do with the all, that when I set my intention, I'm saying, all of you beautiful unemployed angels, come and help me. I love you. Thank you so much for being with me. I'm saying to all the beings of light that work with me, help facilitate whatever's going on. And then I take my hands off the wheel. I let go. Now, I try and I do it as often as I can remember to do it because control is a pattern of behavior. It's a pattern of behavior that comes around all the time, that we want to be able to control every aspect of all kinds of things in our life. And when we surrender to the highest good, when we surrender to the knowing that we're not in this alone, that there are legions of beings that are helping us. Your angels, my angels are in this room right now, beside me, behind me, above me, below me, surrounding me. They are right here with me, and they are just waiting for me to say, help me, please. Use my intention. I know the highest good. I trust in the highest good. And if that means not getting together this week, we won't get together this week. And I will know that that is perfect, that that is exactly the way that it's supposed to be. I've got nudged to put out a few emails to people around doing some podcasts and things. I do those when I get nudged to. And recently I've just happened onto somebody and I thought I would really love to talk with them. And I've sent out that kind of an email. That's how this whole journey began for me. And, but I've sent it out. That's me casting that energetic line out. And then I'm doing this. And if I don't get any responses, so be it. It's okay. I did what my nudge was to do, and it felt joyful and fun. And it just seems remarkable to even have one-way communication with some of these beautiful people that are in the world doing such good work. So, it's about the journey. It's about letting yourself off the hook. Recently, I did a beautiful meditation with my group, my one of my Zoom meetings, and they had dropped the topic of change into my mind. I knew we were going to talk about change. I had no idea what it would be about. And it was wonderful because they talked about how everything in life is changing and rolling with the flow of change, allowing the change, trusting change. All of us have heard that saying that the only thing that you can truly count on in this life that won't change is the fact that everything is going to change. Nothing stays the same. nothing stays the same. And so to have that beautiful spirit of allowing and just rolling with life and trust and faith, that just makes me think of this morning. I watched a beautiful, couple of beautiful YouTube videos. It's Sunday morning for me here. And I was drawn to some Suzanne Giesemann, and Suzanne has been part of my journey from the beginning. And she was talking again, as she very often does, about the evidence that comes through for her. And how, oh, it's just remarkable. And it's been, as I've shared with you folks many times, it's been a little bit of an annoyance for me to a degree that I don't get that kind of communication. I get lots of communication. I get lots of physical signs. I get lots of validation in what I do. But it isn't the way it works for Suzanne. It isn't that dropping something into my mind as a sign and then seeing the sign. And it's so cool and it is so validating. But you know what was so I was thinking about that this morning as I was listening. And again, that isn't it interesting that it just doesn't work that way for me? It just doesn't. And then I thought, if I hadn't happened on to Suzanne at the time when I did, which was right around that November when my therapist told me to look up what it meant to be an empath. Suzanne Giesemann is one of the first metaphysical teachers that I happened onto. And I was able to see her experiences of evidence, the evidence that they can communicate. And I really believe that that left brain reassurance that I got from her at that time gave me the confidence to move forward in faith. Mine has been a journey of faith, and they've said that to me more times than I can count. Suzanne didn't come from a place of faith. She came from the military and proof and left brain and blah, blah, blah. But what a glorious thing for people like I was 3 years ago that didn't have that understanding that it is just literally a breath away. It is just a shift away to communicate with beings on the other side, if you want to call it the other side. It's not the other side, they're right here. But it is just a shift. And her beautiful evidence gave me the confidence to move forward. And when these things started to happen to me, it gave me that reassurance. And it was a beautiful, beautiful thing. But I do want to talk about, what does that mean to move ahead in faith? You know, I knew from the time I was a little girl that when I dropped into faith, I felt my love and connection to Source, to God, to Jesus. I felt it. I felt the love. I could take a breath and I remember if I was ever scared, I'd picture God's hands doing this around me, just God's hands right around me, just keeping me safe. And I'd picture that as a little girl when mom and dad would leave me home by myself and I was scared and lonesome. And I'd picture God's hands right around me. And I felt that connection and I felt that love. So now, with all that I know that I am loved completely. We all are loved completely, and we're all being called. We're being called forward to the greatest expression of who we are, the greatest beingness that we can be, connected and knowing that we are supported, knowing that love really and truly is the answer. Love for ourselves, love for who we are, love for our life, love for our journey, love for when things feel like they're going wrong. And having lived a long enough life to see patterns and be able to know, I have been here before. I've thought things were going wrong, and then, oh, look, because this happened, this happened. Sometimes we don't even get to see that result. We don't get the validation. But when you live a life of trust and faith, you don't have to have the evidence. Not that it's not a great thing, and not that a lot of even people that are in my group, we talk about it. They are able to get the signs. It just has been part of my journey because I know I don't need the signs. I know because I feel them. If I take a breath and just wait, can feel that energy come in. I know it's real. I know it's true. So it's just a different journey. It's no judgments. It's just a different way to navigate. It's just the spirit teams that are coming through people like me and Suzanne. They have an agenda. They are teaching us. There's a resonance, and that resonance is what draws you to people. And just like it does me, there are times when I feel so drawn to the messages of Cryon, to Bashar, to Suzanne, to Sarah, to, all so many out there. There are times when that frequency will pull me right in, and I'll be like, oh my gosh, this was the perfect thing for me to hear this morning. It's beautiful and it's wonderful. And it's all about frequency. So I'm going to end this with reaffirming that. Tend to your frequency today, every day. Drop into your heart and ask yourself, how am I vibrating? Have I got that beautiful vibration of knowing perking in the back? Or am I so busy with my 3D life that I've forgotten that I'm a spiritual being? It just takes a breath of acknowledgement, a breath into your heart, and breathe that light into the world. We are making a difference. I watched something that was a bit upsetting the other day, and there's all kinds of realities. There's all kinds of truths. That's just the fact of it. But like Bashar says, what life do you want? Make your mind up and don't let those kinds of things have any power over you. Set your vision for the world you want to live in, and then breathe that beautiful love. And as we breathe that love in and out, and for me, I just feel like I send it out on the grid. I just, I just breathe it out, and I see the crystalline grid just lighting up. And so all of the people that are at all those little crossings of the hair of that grid, that every one of those crosses in my mind, the way it feels to me, is that's another heart. That's another person. That's another connection across timelines, dimensions, incarnations, and realms. We can send love out, and that turns the frequency and the vibration of our world up. And we are doing good work. We are in this together. So have a beautiful, wonderful day. Don't forget to check out my website. I'm getting more active with my website all the time right now. It is still presentmomentmagic.net, but that's going to be changing. It's going to be changing to kellybowker.com. Just decided to switch it up a little bit. That's all going to be part of when I begin to do my memberships. And that's coming probably within the next couple of months. So stay tuned. And if you want to be a part, if you want to know what I'm offering and what I'm doing, send me an email at kellybowker7@gmail.com and ask, please add me to your tribe. And then once or twice a week, I send out a little email that says, hey, I'm going to be doing something coming up, and you'll be notified. So have a great day. Like and subscribe. Oh, that makes me so happy. Leave a comment below. I love it. Ask a question. Next time I'm sitting on the couch, maybe I'll answer it. Blessings and love, and thank you for being a part of my journey. Bye.